Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are well. Today is December 28th, and it is Sunday. Just as a quick reminder, before we get into the news and all of that, there will not be an episode on the 30th as I will be flying home to Denver. Outside of that, hopefully all you guys are doing well. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. We just passed 650, and we keep growing every single day. So, drop a subscribe, help us get to that number, because I believe we can do it maybe even before the summer, which would be super duper cool. Outside of that, though, if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month, and all funds go to me. It helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, like my clothing, like everything else that I need to pay for. But with that being said, hopefully all you guys are doing wonderful, and let's get into the news from today. Per usual, it's the weekend, so there's not a lot going on, so we don't have much to talk about. But the first topic we have to talk about is very interesting because I find that this isn't really getting a lot of coverage from really anyone on social media. Although the TikTok For You page has been a little weird today. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed that as well, but I have seen a little bit of a few comments about this. This is interesting as Iran has declared total war, or not declared, but declares total war. They are in a total war with Israel, the United States, and Europe. The president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, has announced that his nation is in a full-scale war with the United States and Israel, as well as Europe. Pezeshkian said, "We are in a full-scale war with the US, Israel, and Europe. They don't want our country to remain stable. Here they are besieging us from every aspect. They are putting us difficultly in a difficult and constraint, creating problems in terms of livelihood, culturally, politically, and security-wise, while raising society's expectations. On one side, they block our sales, our exchange, our trade, and on the other side, expectations in society have risen. Consequently, we must all help with all our might to fix the country." Calling for a war of this scale is not okay in the slightest, because it very well could lead to a lot of issues, including World War III. But Iran does kind of have a point here. I mean, how many times has the United States bombed a country in the Middle East for the sake of, weapons of mass destruction that don't actually exist? Just this year we did that. Iran has nuclear facilities built and provided by the United States for nuclear energy, not nuclear bombs. This is something that you can look up and research yourself. It is something provided and set up by the United States that they have. We bombed it anyways because, Israel says there's weapons of mass destruction there. What we really should be talking about is the amount of nukes that Israel has. But hey, no one wants to bring that one up. Bottom line is we need to stop bullying countries around the world. It's going to continue to lead to issues like this if we continue to do that. I mean, we shouldn't be going into countries claiming that there's a weapon of mass destruction just to bomb them when there's nothing there in the first place. I mean, we bombed a facility and it's already up and running again. Not to mention the fact that there wasn't even anything there in the first place, nor did we do an investigation into if there was anything there in the first place. We just up and bombed them because Trump felt like it and he was told to by Israel, which is a massive problem. I mean, people in our government should not be, listening to other governments and being told to bomb other countries by other governments. It's a bit of an issue. But moving on into the Trump administration topic for today, where we have one thing to talk about. Kash Patel has closed a DC FBI office. This is the historic J. Edgar Hoover building in Washington, D.C. FBI Director Kash Patel has announced the FBI will be moving out of the J. Edgar Hoover building in Washington, D.C. and move to existing offices elsewhere within the city. In a post on Twitter, Patel wrote, "After more than 20 years of failed attempts, we finalized a plan to permanently close the FBI's Hoover headquarters and move the workforce into a safe, modern facility, working directly with President Trump and Congress. We accomplished what no one ever could. When we arrived, taxpayers were about to be on the hook for a nearly $5 billion for a new headquarters that wouldn't open until 2035. We scraped the plan. Instead, we selected the already existing Reagan building, saving billions and allowing the transition to begin immediately with the required safety and infrastructure upgrades already underway. Once again complete, most of the HQ FBI workforce will move in, and the rest will be continuing the ongoing push to put more manpower in the fields, where they will remain. This decision puts resources where they belong, defunding the homeland, crushing violent crime, and protecting national security. It delivers better tools for today's FBI workforce at the fraction of the cost. The Hoover building will be shut down permanently. This building was falling apart, and although it is a very historic building that has been around for a long time, the one thing that does suck about brutalist architecture and concrete, the main thing used to build them, is concrete doesn't last forever. It has I believe it's a lifespan of 50 to 100 years, depending on the structure of the building. Um, and that's really unfortunate. This is a really cool building. I myself am a big fan of architecture. Brutalist architecture is one of the things I find the most interesting, especially like Soviet era architecture. I would love to have the opportunity to go to Russia one day just to see all the Soviet era architecture, and even throughout, that entire area where the Soviet Union was. There are just so many, monuments and buildings that are so cool that I would love to have the opportunity to see. But even having that in here, it's super duper cool. And it's unfortunately probably going to get demolished. The building isn't in the greatest state. A lot of it is falling apart, according to reports, of course. And, it's really unfortunate that that's going to be the case, but, you can't do much about it. And hey, hopefully, if there's a new building built there, it's a solid one and it actually does, have a historic legacy eventually. In other news, moving on into our other news segment, of course, corporate bankruptcies this year have exploded under the Trump administration. Corporate bankruptcies in the United States have soared under the Trump administration, according to a new report from The Independent. At least 717 companies filed for Chapter 7 or Chapter 11 bankruptcy between January and November, according to S&P data. This marks a 14% increase from the year of 2024 and the highest rate that we have seen since 2010 during the recovery of the Great Recession, something that we will continue to see if tariffs remain in place for this country. Trump's tariffs have destroyed our economy to a point where, he doesn't even get to take credit for the residual economy he would have gotten under the Biden administration, which probably would have made his economy look a lot greater during his term because nobody understands how residual economies work. For those who don't know, the residual economy carries over into the first 2 years of every new presidency, and essentially in the next 2 years, you'll have Trump's new economic policy, and then in the next 2 years of the next presidency, you'll have Trump's new economic policy. That's how I believe I remembered it. How I remember it being taught to us in AP government. But outside of that, tariffs are horrific for the economy. Trump and MAGA can lie all they want about that. But they have a negative impact on the consumer. At the end of the day, they do. I shouldn't have to explain this still. At this point in the year with how many tariffs we've had to deal with. But sadly, people in this country are unfortunately dumber than a bag of bricks and still don't understand that the American citizen pays the tariffs, not the other country. Nobody else is paying that but you. It trickles down to you. The tariffs have to be paid by the importer, the person who is bringing the items into the country. They pay that tariff, and that cost trickles down to the consumer, who is ultimately paying a higher price because the importer has to pay more money to get the item here. That's how that works. You can talk to literally anyone in business and they will tell you that. That's how capitalism works as well. If you think that anyone is going to pay for anything for you in this country, you are mistaken. We don't even have free healthcare here. So I don't know why that's a shocker. Tariffs do not help anyone. And they have had horrific impacts on the economy seen here. At least 717 companies have had to file for bankruptcy this year, which doesn't help, especially when it comes to, mom and pop shops that are actively dwindling every single day. In other news, moving on into our next topic, a helicopter or two helicopters have collided in New Jersey. Two helicopters have collided midair in New Jersey, leaving one dead and another injured. Both the aircrafts collided around 11:25 a.m. near Hampton Municipal Airports. Only the pilots were on board at the time. Images of the wreck show the two helicopters essentially mangled together. A quote from Hampton Fire Department Chief Sean Marukuri, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, sums it up. He said it was hard to even tell that it was a helicopter. And if you look at the images, unfortunately, that's what it looks like. This is absolutely horrible news, and I hope the one pilot that did survive is able to recover. My condolences to the family of the one pilot who is no longer with us. The skies are still a very dangerous place, even if there's less people out there. I don't think we know what caused this yet. And of course, if it's anything like game changing, I will let you guys know. But I doubt that. I'm sure it was like a system failure or a failure to report. There's been plenty of issues like that, even recently with the military aircraft that almost hit a passenger plane, I believe. And the skies are dangerous. They really are. This wreck was really bad, and I hope the survivor can survive. But this was a really bad wreck, and my full condolences go to all of those impacted. Anyways, moving on into our final topic for tonight. 9 have been stabbed to death in Suriname. 9 people have been stabbed to death, including 5 children in Suriname, outside of the capital of the country. One male suspect has been detained after being shot in the leg by local police. Local media claims that this man was suffering from a mental health issue, according to the BBC, of course. Police said that further details will follow, but this is a very interesting situation, as events like these are very rare in Suriname. But of course, they have expanded a little bit since they got their independence from the Netherlands. My condolences to all of the families of those who have lost, especially the families of those who have lost children. 5 children especially is a really horrific deal. It's absolutely horrific that this has happened. As always, if anything big comes out of this one, I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you guys updated. But this is really horrible news, and I hope all of those impacted are able to recover. This is horrible, and no one should have to experience anything like this. With that being said, though, thank you everyone for watching today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. It has definitely been a very interesting day in the news world, that is for sure. If you're new here, though, please consider subscribing. All the support would greatly appreciate it. As mentioned, we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end or by this summer. I believe we can do it without a doubt, guys. So drop a subscribe if you're new. That would be really great. And if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month. All funds go to me and help me pay for the things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, like my clothing, like all the other things that I need to pay for. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Go check out the other platforms. I make, regular news content on TikTok, to give it to you fast. But I also stream Minecraft on TikTok, and I'm also on Blue Sky, where I post announcements to these videos and, announcements to other little things. But outside of that, thank you everyone for watching. I truly do appreciate all of you who show out every single day and watch all of these videos. And I will see you all in the next one.